Now when it comes to creating viewports, I think everybody's going to love this one, because I'm just going to recap how we created viewports up to Caddie 25, and that is by going to your view in the root menu, and then in the subcolumn we made use of the object VP, and then you define it with a polygon, a rectangle or a circle. So if you click the rectangle option, Caddie will ask you enter diagonal opposite corners of rectangle, and then you indicate what you want to take to your sheet. Caddie gives you a preview of your viewport. You select your sheet that you want to place your viewport on. You say OK, and then Caddie asks you for your viewport scale. You say OK, and you place your viewport. And then later on you realize, but wait, I'm actually losing space because of the size of my viewport. Yes, luckily we do have still the control grip points that you can resize your viewport. So then you make use of resizing your viewport so you can fit in more viewports. But have a look now in Caddie 26. In Caddie 26, I'm going to press escape. I'm going to select the content that I want to take to my sheet via viewport. So I'm going to select it, I'm going to right click, and now new to Caddie 26 is the option that says add to sheet, create viewport. Now as soon as I click on the command, as you can see, it's giving me a preview of my viewport, and all my content fits inside that preview. So that's what I want on my sheet. Caddie asks us select your layout. That's going to be on my A1. I'm going to keep everything the same. My scale for viewport is 1 in 100. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to place my viewport. So if I now zoom in, and if I look at the difference between the two, the second one is actually what I want, because all my content fits inside the border of my viewport. So much easier to create viewports now by just selecting the content and then ask Caddie with the CSM to place a viewport. I'm just going to recap on this one. As you can see, my selection, as soon as something is selected, I can right click. I'm going to go add to sheet, create viewport, and as you can see, it's giving me a preview of my border of my viewport, and that's what I want on my sheet. So I'm going to take it to my A1. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to keep it 1 in 100, and I'm going to place my viewport. That's exactly what I want on my sheet. Now if I go back to my model space, now there's a new enhancement added to this command, and that means if I'm going to select the content I want to take to my sheet, I'm going to right click, I'm going to ask Caddie add to sheet, create viewport. I'm going to go to my A1. Now you will see new to Caddie 26 is the option that says set viewport layers to selected object layers. So what that means is if I'm going to say OK now, I'm just going to zoom out and I'm going to place a viewport over here. What that means is if I'm going to select this viewport, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to my viewport options, and I'm going to make use of the enable disable layers manually, just so I can see which layers. As you can see, those layers that's in blue, those are the active layers in this viewport. If I select the existing viewport that I just bring in earlier, I go the same path, viewport, enable disable layers manually, it just shows me that all my layers is active in this viewport. So that is a second enhancement when it comes for creating viewports from the model space by just selecting the content, right click, go down to add to sheet, create viewport. You're going to go to your sheet. You're going to supply a scale. Scale for viewport is 1 in 100. If you would like to make use of the option, set viewport layers to selected objects. You're going to say OK, and you can place your viewport.